We begin tonight with Mottur, former campaign advisor for Hillary Clinton, Mick Mulvaney, former acting chief of staff under Donald Trump. Mick, start with you. There's talk of an Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire deal coming as early as tomorrow. The NATO chief was at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. Is that the message Donald Trump wants going into Thanksgiving weekend?
Well, I mean, if you're implying that he'd rather be the one who solves the situation in Gaza, no, I don't think so. I think he'd be happy to see the hostilities cease. And face it, there's plenty of other things for him to talk about over the weekend. So, look, everybody's pulling in the same direction on Gaza right now. If they can get that stopped,
well, first of all, this wasn't
Gaza.
Mick, this was Lebanon with Hezbollah. Number one. Number two,
I'm sorry, Hezbollah.
Number two, I wasn't implying that. As cynical as I am, I'm not quite that cynical in Washington. What I was implying, though, is you've done this before. You've been the chief of staff trying to figure out the message ahead of this. What message does Donald Trump want people talking about at the Thanksgiving table?
If I'm the chief of staff, if I'm Susie Wiles, we're trying to figure out what to do over the weekend, I'm going to at least lay on the table, Mr. President, maybe we don't say anything. Maybe injecting politics into this weekend is the wrong decision. Maybe we can just let people have a good time, watch some football, eat turkey, take a nap. And if we get involved, it might just make things worse. I don't think he'd take that advice, but I think someone probably needs to put that on the table and say, look, why don't you just go play golf this weekend, have a nice time yourself, and we'll take the day off.
Well, you figure, right, he's got essentially 24 hours from now, because by Wednesday morning, the news cycle's basically said people are already on airplanes. Al, at least in terms of Democrats, what people are going to be talking about is that Kamala Harris says that she wants to run again in 2028. Don't laugh. Is that really what Democrats need right now?
I mean, look, you and I talked about this 8 years ago after Secretary Clinton lost, and a lot of people wanted her to be the nominee 4 years later. These things have a way of working themselves out. As we all know, she did not run again in 2020, and I doubt that Vice President Harris will run again. But if she wants to, she has every right to. It's a free country. I imagine there'll be 10 to 12 people running, and she may well be one of them, but that doesn't mean she'll be the nominee.
Yeah, fair enough. She certainly wasn't the nominee when she ran in 2020. That didn't work out in terms of Iowa for her. Mick, in terms of Donald Trump, he has this theory, right, that sort of no matter how much chaos you inject into a situation, it's good for him. P.T. Barnum, so long as you spell my name right, it's good publicity. In a sense, though, he's won today by Jack Smith dismissing the indictments. He just put out something about new tariffs on Mexico and Canada if they don't stop drug dealers and illegal immigration. He's made these threats before. It doesn't normally materialize. Is there a chance you're right in that Donald Trump, though, is learning that he doesn't have to swing at every single pitch?
Yeah, and keep in mind that there's always going to be a little bit different rhythm and feel to a second term anyway, Leland, because he's not the candidate. Keep in mind, being a president of the United States in the first term is the hardest job in the world because it's two jobs. You are the president and the candidate for re-election, and he's not a candidate for re-election anymore. So I think he gets to sort of look at the job a little bit differently. And if that means taking a different attitude, maybe not politicizing everything, I think there's an opportunity for that. I'd be very curious. One of the best questions I think I've gotten in the last couple of months is, will Trump 2.0 be a lot like Trump 1.0, or will it be something entirely different? And I don't know the answer to that question. It just remains to be seen what he decides to do with these last 4 years.
So far, I think it's been different, right, Al? And you haven't seen him give press conferences every day at Mar-a-Lago. There hasn't been the casting call at Trump Tower. It's been handled very differently, a lot more professional, a lot more buttoned up. Is that a problem for Democrats who have spent the past 4, 8 years, whatever it is, sort of running and hating against Donald Trump, that he's not giving you all that fodder right now?
Well, one, I would say it's good for America if he's not doing all of that. And number two, and as Democrats, that's what we need to be for first and foremost. And number two, perhaps we should learn from this election and his behavior that we shouldn't be running only against him. We need to be running to appeal to middle-class voters, running to address the aspirations of folks who think that things are 25% more expensive than they were 4 years ago, and we didn't offer solutions. So I'm fine with him acting the way he is. In fact, I find it refreshing, and I wish him well.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.